Hello again, everybody. It's me again. They invited me back. First audition went well. My name is Mahalia Chang. I am the head of digital content for Vogue Australia, and today I am joined by Kit Willow, CEO, founder, creative director, KitX. That's a whole lot of titles in there.
And more.
And much, much more. Well, let's start with the basics. Talk us through what you do and how you got here.
So I started when I was 23 years old. I started a first fashion label called Willow with the concept of creating beautiful lingerie that was almost like fashion lingerie that could be layered with outerwear. And then in the last minute, I had this sort of urge to add a few fashion pieces in there as well, just before the first presentation. And off it went, and of course started with the hardest category, which is lingerie, having no idea about how to do it. It was a big eye-opener, but it also taught me an enormous amount about how to fit on the body and the absolute perfection required in tailoring, a very good fit, which transcended into jackets and dresses and corsets, etc. And then that label grew and moved on from there. And I thought, what am I going to do now? There is so much fashion in the world. There are so many clothes, having travelled overseas, but also, even in India, there are people with, those ricket bikes with, clothes spilling off the back of them. And in department stores, you just, sort of blur your eyes and you see buy one, get one free, marked down, like just, garment after garment after garment. And then you look at, what's in landfill as well. And, Haiti, there was so many clothes that were donated to people in Haiti that the demand wasn't even there to take the unwanted clothing, and it ends up in landfill and ferments and releases gases, and it's like we're just producing so much. So I love creating, but to create more of what already exists wasn't an option. And I met this incredible man. It was a real light bulb moment, and his name is Johann Zeitz, and he invented the environmental P&L at Puma. He was the youngest CEO in history, I think, to have turned around a public company in the time that he did. And rather than just having a financial P&L, he invented the environmental P&L. And I said, in the environmental P&L, what was the greatest expense to the planet? And he said, the greatest expense to the planet comes from materials. About 70% of the impact fashion has comes from materials. And I was like, how did I not know this? I was looking at it from like plastic and packaging point of view, not having an awareness of the material impact when that is the greatest impact that it has. Light bulb, KitX, that's what I'm doing. I'm creating a brand that is consciously sourcing materials to minimise the impact on the planet's resources. So understanding the journey of every single fibre and the impact that it has, and what is good, what is bad, how is it good, how is it bad, what to avoid, and sort of went through this education process over about 6 months to a year, and travelled and met with really interesting people and read a lot, and it's all there if you start to look on Google. There's a lot of information once you start scratching under the surface, and I wanted everyone to win, and that was the base of KitX, where the farmers win and the land wins because it's not contaminated with insecticides and pesticides. The water wins because either low water usage or not contaminated. And the workers win, being paid fair living wages, and then through good design, and the customer wins, beautiful cut, beautiful, genuine, honest materials, and then maximising the win, and that's it's got me here right now today.
Well, now here you are. And you've already asked yourself my question, so thank you very much for that, for doing my job for me, which is, what do you think the number one problem facing the sustainable fashion industry is right now? I mean, you've listed quite a few of them, but can you kind of single it down into one?
Yes, I mean, I only sort of touched on the surface, but it's so multifaceted. It is not one thing. And I think that consumption is a huge issue. I know I'm in the business of creating new things, but, having that mindset, it's really only been in the last 20 years with fast fashion that we've gone into this sort of consumption frenzy, and we cannot actually fit the clothes into our wardrobe. Our wardrobes have increased in size about 20 to 30% within the last 20 to 30 years to house this extra fashion, but also half of it is being discarded into landfill. So that's one issue, and buying less but buying better. Mending, repairing, buying vintage. That's sort of from a consumer point of view, but also I always say, like, the big problem is virgin nylon and polyester, which is basically like plastic, which when it is created releases nitrous oxide into the atmosphere, which is 300 times more toxic than carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide, as you know, is the biggest contributor to climate change and all the unusual weather patterns that we're facing. So, any virgin nylon, polyester, not good. Only positive, it can be recycled, and for instance, this dress is made out of marine litter and discarded fishing nets, which is made out of nylon, and end up on the seabeds and create big problems for marine life. So removing that, as well as other marine litter, knitting it, turning it into a thread through this depolymerization technique, then knitting it with solar power in Italy and digitally printing fire symbol, warning, the earth is heating,
it all
use
comes
recycled,
together in
not
the
virgin.
end.
Yeah.
There's a story in that. Well, everybody note down that fabric choice as a no-go, please. I hope I speak for everybody in the room that we all want to make, better choices and help the environment. Can you tell us some small things that each of us can do to make big changes in our lives?
I think you're sort of coming back to that buying better, buy less, buy better. And really, if you were to divide, like this coat that I can't stop wearing, yes, it's $1,000, but if you were to divide the number of wears, from the cost price that you purchased it, it's probably cheaper than actually buying something that you wear once or twice and falls apart, and you don't like the cut and you don't like the fit, and it's hot because it's made out of horrible material and it doesn't feel good, and or it's too trend focused and you're embarrassed to wear it again, kind of thing. So I think that's a really important message, and it's only been, as I said, recently that we've sort of moved into this buy and discard culture. And the other thing is to share stories. I mean, that's the most powerful form of communication that humans have, and has proven to allow us to evolve as a species so quickly, because we are sharing stories. So like today, that story about, virgin nylon and polyester, you might tell 5 people at a barbecue, then they tell some, that word of mouth is critical. And even like reading about what is happening in the world and the impact on diversity and biodiversity, and then also solutions that we can do, and really stay positive on what we can do. Yeah,
absolutely. And you and I were talking about this earlier, but you are an Audi ambassador, and you're an advocate for driving electric vehicles, and you can talk directly to me on this because I don't drive, which is a skill issue, not a desire issue. In your opinion, what needs to be done to educate Australians on the benefits of driving electric vehicles?
I have to say I was very lucky to have had the e-tron, which is 0 to very fast in split second. I enjoyed that. So from it's not, because there was that stigma, and like there was in sustainable fashion almost, where it's like, sustainable fashion. When I started Kidex, it was like Hessian sack, daggy kind of thing. And so it's like breaking that, it's like creating a sensual, sexy brand, but also with the electric vehicles, and Tesla did this, and Audi as well. It's, you know, it can be fast. It can perform incredibly well, and very powerful vehicle. What I did love is that when, you know, coming home, just clean. It felt clean as well, but also getting home and being able to charge it overnight, never needing to go to a petrol station, and having renewable energy to charge the vehicle as well. Yeah, it's quite easy for city driving. I think it's fantastic. We've just got a long way to go in terms of, because we're a large country, getting these fast power stations installed so that you can travel long distances and charge up along the way.
You're very convincing. That didn't get me there, but it's 50%, at least 50%. We are out of time for this one, but thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy Vogue Codes.